Voters are heading to the polls for primary elections today. It's underway in 5 states. You've heard us speak about this all day. Arizona, Michigan, Missouri, Kansas, and Washington. One of the most watched races is the Senate GOP primary in Missouri. The state's former governor, Eric Greitens, is facing Missouri's Attorney General, Eric Schmitt. Former President Trump said he was endorsing Eric in a statement yesterday. And of course, there are two Erics in the race. He hasn't clarified which one he really supports. In Kansas, abortion access is on the ballot. It's the first state to vote on the issue since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. For more on this, CBS News political director Fin Gomez joins me now. They're from our Washington bureau. Fin, always great to see you. You know this.
You too.
Do we have any clarity on the Eric former President Trump is endorsing in that contest?
Yeah, well, Errol, I spoke to some Republican sources close to Trump who tell me that Trump intentionally meant to play both sides by not stating an actual last name in his endorsement yesterday. Two of those Republican contenders, as you mentioned, are both named Eric. State Attorney General Eric Schmitt, who has been leading in most polls, and disgraced former Governor Eric Greitens. Both Erics, as you stated, claim the endorsement. But who knows? Trump may have been referring to his son Eric Trump, but we'll see how those results turn out. It's supposed to be a pretty tight race, but again, Schmitt was in the lead in polls leading up to today's vote.
Representative Peter Meijer faces a tough primary against Trump-backed challenger in Michigan. He's one of a handful of Republicans who voted to impeach the former president. Mm-hmm. What is your sense from where the energy is right now? Do those votes seem to be costly to those Republicans or not?
In a word, emphatically, yes. Trump encouraged his supporters, even today on his social media site, to, quote, knock out impeachment slime, referring to Meijer and Representatives Jamie Herrera Butler and Dan Newhouse. All three congressmen voted for impeachment following January 6th and are on the ballot today. They have been the target of the former president and his allies, and Meijer is now facing John Gibbs, who has been endorsed by Trump. And Errol, a new survey by CBS News showed that 57% of registered Republican voters say they are more likely to vote for a candidate who gets an endorsement from the former president. It's a significant hurdle for Meijer.
You know, it's a continuation of that sentiment that it is President Trump's GOP now. We're seeing this election after election, not universally, but certainly he's got the juice, the political juice here. Michigan's Democratic Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, is warning against any attempts to interfere with today's election. Mm-hmm. What led to that?
Errol, it's really getting interesting. She said Monday anyone attempting to interfere with the election process could be removed from polling places or potentially arrested. Benson has warned about bad actors who might interfere or mislead voters about election results. She said, quote, "We will not tolerate any attempts to disrupt our elections, any voter suppression or election interference attempts in Michigan," and said, simply follow the rules, follow the law. If that doesn't happen, there will be consequences. She also said that officials around the state are prepared for the possibility of disruptions and said the department will continue to combat misinformation about the legitimacy of the 2020 election results. Benson is also running for re-election as Secretary of State in Michigan and will likely be facing Republican opponent Christina Caramo, who has also been backed by Trump and who has been at the center of 2020 election denialism in Michigan. Also, I just wanted to add, just to sort of cite the heightened situation in Michigan, our political reporter Aaron Navarro has confirmed that the Michigan GOP election night watch party has been canceled after a bystander verbally assaulted a Republican staffer and threatened to shoot up a building, according to a Michigan Republican Party spokesperson. So we're watching that as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that late-breaking development. I want you to quickly take us to Kansas, though. Abortion on the ballot there. What's the proposed measure and the likelihood it will pass, and what is a historically conservative state?
Exactly, Errol. This is getting a lot of attention. As you mentioned, abortion access is on the ballot in Kansas. Following the Supreme Court's overturn of Roe v. Wade earlier this summer, voters in Kansas will now decide whether to amend their state constitution and decide whether abortion access is protected by their constitution. The way the amendment is currently written, a yes vote affirms that there is no constitutional right to abortion. Kansas also has a Republican legislature, so if the amendment does pass, they are expected to restrict abortion access. Kansas is also the first state to vote on abortion rights, ahead of California, Kentucky, and also Vermont. And we are watching those results intently as well.
Yeah, there is a lot on the line tonight, Finn. Thank you so much.
A lot going on, Errol.
Yes,
a lot going on.
And you're not wrapping up the day just yet. We want to let our viewers know that they can stay with CBS News tonight for coverage of all these primaries at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll bring you a special roundup of the results anchored by our chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett.